The night was quiet on the colony world of Arvin. A cold wind moved across the open plains, carrying the sound of metal towers humming with power. The human base stood like a cluster of silver boxes under the twin moons. Inside one of those towers, a young human engineer named Milo sat alone in the maintenance bay, fixing a damaged medical drone. He was tired from a long shift. The drone's circuits were fried again because of dust storms that often rolled over Arvin's surface. Still, Milo worked with calm patience. His hands moved with care as he adjusted the wiring and tested the small unit's power cell. He was not a soldier or a doctor. He was a technician whose main job was to keep machines alive. Yet deep inside, he always felt that one day his work might mean more than just repairing metal. As the night grew deeper, his scanner blinked with a soft red light. It was a faint distress signal, unlike the ones used by human equipment. Milo frowned and checked the frequency. It was coming from beyond the safe zone, near the forest border where humans were forbidden to go. The coordinates pulsed again, weak and desperate. It was not military. It was a civilian code, and it carried the universal distress tone recognized by all species. He hesitated for a moment. The rules said he should report it and wait for orders, but the base officers would not send help until morning. Whoever sent that signal might not last that long. Milo stood up, grabbed his portable medkit and a small hoverbike, and decided to go himself. The road to the border was dark. The trees glowed faintly from the mineral dust in the air. Every few minutes, the bike's sensors warned him of wild energy fields, but he kept moving. He had seen this part of Arvin only in satellite images. The land beyond belonged to the Varine, a peaceful alien race that shared the planet under an uneasy treaty with humans. There had been tension for years. Some humans believed the Varine were hiding resources. The Varine, in turn, saw humans as careless invaders who dug too deep into their sacred lands. When Milo reached the edge of the forest, he stopped the bike and scanned again. The signal was stronger now, pulsing from a narrow valley just ahead. He moved carefully, flashlight in hand. The glow of his light reflected off something bright near a cluster of crystal plants. He stepped closer and froze. Before him were three figures. Two adults with transparent, crystal-like skin and soft blue light shining beneath it, and between them a small child lying motionless on the ground. The parents looked up as he approached. Their large eyes shimmered with fear and hope. The male raised his hand, showing no weapon. His voice was rough but full of pleading. "Human, please. Help her, our child is dying." Milo felt his chest tighten. The girl's breathing was shallow, her skin dim and dull. She was clearly young, maybe 6 by human standards. Her mother knelt beside her, whispering in the Varine tongue, her voice shaking. The father stepped back slightly to give Milo space. "I am not a doctor," Milo said softly, "but I can try." He opened his kit and pulled out a diagnostic scanner. The device beeped weakly as he ran it over the child's chest. Her body temperature was low and her heart rhythm irregular. He looked at the readings and frowned. There was some kind of toxin in her system, something his scanner could barely identify. "What happened to her?" he asked. The father looked down, his face heavy with guilt. "We do not know. She drank from the spring near our home. After that, she began to fade." Milo knew that spring. It was near the line where human machines had been drilling for minerals weeks ago. He felt a cold feeling in his stomach. It was possible that waste from the mining process had leaked into the Varine water supply. He pushed the thought away for now and focused on the child. He took out a small medical injector filled with universal nanites, tiny repair machines used to stabilize different life forms. It was risky. The nanites were designed for humans, not aliens, but he had nothing else. "I can use this," he said. "It might help her body fight the poison." The alien mother looked at him with trembling hope. "Please, we will give you anything. Just save her." Milo nodded and set the injector to the lowest level. He placed it gently on the child's arm and pressed the release. The device hissed softly and a faint glow spread under her skin. For a moment, nothing happened. Then her chest rose with a deeper breath. The light in her body brightened slightly. It was working, at least a little. The parents gasped and clutched each other. The father knelt beside Milo and touched his shoulder with gratitude. Thank you, human." But Milo did not relax yet. The scanner still showed instability. The toxin was slowing down, but not gone. The nanites were only delaying it. He set up a small energy field to regulate her breathing and adjusted the oxygen mix. He worked for hours under the alien moons. The forest was silent except for the hum of his tools. Sweat rolled down his forehead and his hands trembled from fatigue, but he kept going. The girl's pulse steadied slowly. Her color grew brighter and her breathing became even. Finally, he sat back, his muscles aching. "She will live through the night," he said. "But the poison is still inside. I do not know how long she has." The alien mother reached for her daughter's hand and began to weep softly. The father bowed his head. "You saved her when no one else could. You are not like the others." Milo looked down at the child and felt something stir inside him. Her face was peaceful now, her small fingers twitching slightly as if dreaming. He had seen many machines break down, but never had he felt so determined to keep something alive. He checked his equipment again and saw that the toxin pattern was unlike anything in his database. It was organic and artificial at the same time. Whatever it was, it did not belong naturally in the water. He looked up at the parents. "Where exactly is your spring?" he asked. The father pointed toward the mountains beyond the forest. "It is near the old mining ridge. We have lived there for generations." Milo's stomach tightened again. That area was close to a human drill site. If his guess was right, the mining operation might have leaked waste into the soil. It would explain the strange readings. He wanted to be sure. He looked back at the child. "She will need real treatment soon. The toxin may keep returning. I can make a stronger dose, but I must find the source first." The father frowned. "It is dangerous for you to go there. The Varine guard that region. They do not welcome humans." Milo packed his tools and stood up. "I will go anyway. I cannot let her die." The alien mother looked up at him. "You would risk your life for our child?" He gave a tired smile. "She is a child. That is reason enough." The mother lowered her head, touched his hand gently, and whispered words in her language that he did not understand. Her touch was warm, the crystal light from her skin soft against his fingers. In that moment, he felt a strange connection, not between species, but between parents and a man who simply wanted to help. The wind began to rise again, stirring the glowing plants around them. Milo adjusted the energy shield to protect the child through the night. He told the parents to let her rest and watch the readings on the scanner. He would return soon. Before he left, the father stepped in front of him. "If you go into our lands and the guards find you, they will see you as an enemy. They may not let you leave." Milo looked at the faint light on the horizon. "Then I will be quick." The father hesitated, then handed him a small crystal shard glowing with blue light. "Show them this if you are caught. It carries our family mark. Maybe they will listen." Milo nodded and placed it in his pocket. He started the hoverbike again, its quiet hum breaking the silence. As he rode back toward the border to gather more supplies, he looked up at the two moons and thought about what he had just seen. A human and an alien family, meeting in the dark not as enemies but as people. The treaty that had separated them for years suddenly felt meaningless. He knew that if he did nothing more, the girl might still die. And if the cause was human pollution, then the peace between their races might die with her. He reached the base before dawn. The towers glowed in the early light, and the wind turbines spun slowly in the distance. He parked the bike quietly and slipped into the workshop. His uniform was stained with dust and alien soil. He ignored the fatigue and opened the data console. He began analyzing the toxin pattern he had recorded from the girl's blood. The readings confirmed his fear. It was a chemical compound used in human mining coolants mixed with an organic reaction that the local soil created. He leaned back in his chair, rubbing his eyes. He knew what he had to do. The only way to save the child completely was to stop the source of the poison and purify the spring itself. That meant going deep into alien territory, breaking military law and risking arrest from both sides. Still, the image of the child's weak face stayed in his mind. He stood up, gathered the parts he would need to build a portable filtration unit, and loaded his pack. As the sun began to rise over Arvin's horizon, he looked once more at the crystal shard the father had given him. Its blue light reflected against the metal walls like a heartbeat. Milo whispered to himself, not in pride but in quiet determination, "I gave my word." He turned off the lights, locked the bay door, and stepped into the dawn, ready to cross a line that few humans dared to cross. The morning light spread slowly over the plains of Arvin. The metal towers of the human base reflected the pale sun, and the wind carried the faint hum of machines working far in the distance. Inside the maintenance bay, Milo was busy preparing his equipment. He moved quickly but carefully, checking each piece of gear. He had a plan, and he knew he could not delay it. He packed a small medical kit, a portable purifier, and several energy cells. He added his drone companion, a round floating device named Unit 9, which could scan and assist in technical repairs. Unit 9 hovered beside him, blinking with a soft blue light. Milo looked around to make sure no one was watching. The officers were busy at the mining site today, so he had a few hours before anyone noticed his absence. He uploaded the data he had collected from the alien child into the drone system. The readings were clear now. The toxin inside her body came from chemical waste mixed with minerals in the water. If he could purify the spring, he could stop the poison from spreading. He closed his tool bag and walked out into the bright day. The air was thin but clean near the base. Once he reached the outer field, the smell of metal faded and the scent of alien soil filled the air. His hover bike was waiting where he had left it. He started it and rode toward the mountains, the same direction the alien father had pointed to the night before. The journey took hours. The road turned rough and the path climbed upward through thick forest. Strange glowing flowers grew among the trees, releasing soft waves of light. Milo slowed his bike as the forest grew darker. The sunlight barely reached the ground here. He could hear distant whispers of wind flowing through crystal leaves. The Varine territory had always been mysterious to humans, filled with energy fields and strange life forms. As he moved deeper, Unit 9 hovered close, scanning the area. "Warning," the drone said in its calm voice. "Unknown energy levels ahead. Proceed with caution." "I know," Milo replied. "Stay close." After another mile, he stopped the bike near a stream that glittered faintly in the shadows. The scanner showed high toxin readings. This was the start of the poisoned flow. He followed it on foot until he reached a small valley surrounded by tall crystal rocks. In the middle of that valley was the spring. Its water glowed dim and pale, almost sickly. The air smelled metallic, like burnt wires and chemicals. Milo crouched beside it and dipped a testing rod into the water. The results confirmed his fears. The contamination came from deeper underground, likely near the old mining shafts. He looked around and saw broken machine parts buried under the soil. They were human-made, left behind after the miners had abandoned the site. The chemicals from those machines had leaked into the spring. Milo sighed and began setting up his purifier. The machine was designed to clean small systems, not an entire natural spring, but he hoped it would at least slow the poison. He connected the filters and started the power cycle. The unit hummed softly as water began to move through the system. While he worked, his thoughts drifted back to the alien child. He could still see her small hand glowing faintly as she slept. He had seen many things as a mechanic, but never a life so fragile. He knew he was risking more than his job by being here, but his heart would not let him stay away. Suddenly a sound came from behind him, the rustle of movement, light but quick. Milo froze, then slowly turned. From the shadows between the crystal rocks, 3 figures stepped forward. They were Varine soldiers. Their armor shone with a glass-like sheen and their eyes glowed bright blue. One of them raised a hand, signaling him to stop. "Human," the leader said. "You are in forbidden land. Why are you here?" Milo raised his hand slowly. "I mean no harm. I came to clean the water. There is poison here. It is killing your people." The soldiers looked at one another. Their leader stepped closer. "Humans caused this poison. Why should we believe you came to fix it?" Milo reached into his pocket and pulled out the small crystal shard that Nira's father had given him. He held it up so they could see. "Raal gave me this. His daughter is sick because of the water. I saved her last night. He told me to find the cause." The leader stared at the shard for a long moment. The glow of his eyes softened. "Raal is known to our people. If you truly helped his child, then you have done a great thing. But we cannot allow humans here without permission." "I understand," Milo said. "But if we wait for permission, more children will get sick. Let me finish the work." "You can watch if you want," the soldiers whispered among themselves. Finally, the leader nodded. "We will watch. Do your work, human." Milo bowed slightly and turned back to his purifier. The machine's sensors beeped faster now as it processed more water. He adjusted the filters, adding an extra layer of nanite cleaning to handle the toxin's complexity. The soldiers watched him silently. Unit 9 hovered nearby, scanning and relaying data. The process was slow but steady. Clean water began to flow from one side of the purifier. clear and bright compared to the dull liquid around it. After an hour, the readings showed improvement. Milo felt a small surge of hope. He smiled faintly, wiping sweat from his forehead. "It is working," he said. The leader stepped closer to look. "You truly know how to heal machines." Milo shook his head. "I fix what breaks." This time it just happens to be life itself. Before the leader could reply, the ground trembled beneath their feet. A deep rumbling sound echoed through the valley. Milo looked around in alarm. The purifier sensors spiked. Unit 9 flashed a warning. "Underground instability detected," the drone announced. One of the soldiers shouted something in their language. The ground cracked open near the spring, and a cloud of glowing dust rose into the air. The purifier began to shake violently. Milo tried to shut it down, but the power surge overloaded the circuits. A sharp burst of light exploded from the unit, throwing him backward. He hit the ground hard. His ears rang and his vision blurred. The soldiers moved quickly to shield themselves from falling debris. When the dust cleared, the purifier was half buried, its lights flickering weakly. Milo coughed and tried to stand. The leader ran toward him. "Are you hurt?" "I am fine," Milo said, though his arms burned from the impact. "The purifier is damaged, but maybe I can fix it." He crawled toward the device and began checking the connections. The energy cell had ruptured, and part of the filter was broken. He sighed and reached for his toolkit. His fingers moved with mechanical focus as he repaired the circuits. The soldiers stood guard around him, watching the forest for any further danger. After what felt like hours, the purifier hummed again. The water flow steadied. This time the readings showed a stronger improvement. The toxin level dropped sharply. Milo leaned back, exhausted but satisfied. "It will hold for now," he said. "But I need to repair the deeper pipes if we want to stop it completely." "That will take more time," the leader nodded. "You have done more than we expected. Our scouts will inform the council. They will want to meet you." Milo looked uneasy. "Will they be angry that a human came here?" "They may be surprised," the leader said. "But they will see what you have done. You saved one of our young and cleaned our sacred spring. That is not something they can ignore." Before they could speak further, Unit 9 beeped again. "Incoming life forms detected." Distance 200 meters, Milo turned quickly. From the path behind the valley, a new group approached. They wore the dark uniforms of human miners. His stomach tightened. They were from his base. They must have tracked his signal. The mining captain, a tall man with a cold expression, stepped forward holding a scanner. "Milo," he said sharply, "what are you doing here?" "You know this land is restricted." Milo stood up slowly. "There was contamination in the spring. It was poisoning the Varine. I came to fix it." The captain's eyes narrowed. "You had no order to cross the line. Do you realize what you have done? You could ruin the treaty." The Varine soldiers moved closer, their weapons glowing faintly. The air grew tense. Milo raised his hands, trying to calm both sides. "No one needs to fight. The poison came from our old machines. I just repaired the damage. Look at the readings. The water is clean again." The captain scanned the water and frowned. "This cannot be confirmed yet. You should have reported it instead of acting on your own." "If I had waited, a child would have died," Milo said firmly. "You know I am right." The soldiers behind the captain shifted uneasily. They had seen the readings too. The leader of the Varine stepped forward. "The human speaks truth. He saved our young. He risked himself for us. You should honor him, not punish him." The captain looked from Milo to the alien and back. His expression softened slightly, but his voice stayed cold. "We will take you back for questioning, Milo. The council can decide what happens next." Milo nodded. "I will go. But I will not undo the work I did here. Leave the purifier running. Let the water stay clean." The captain said nothing. He signaled his men to prepare to leave. The Varine soldiers stepped aside but watched carefully. Before Milo turned to go, the Varine leader spoke again. "You will not be forgotten, human. What you did today may save more lives than you know." Milo gave a tired smile. Then it was worth it. As he walked away with the human patrol, the wind carried the sound of flowing water behind him. The spring glowed brighter than before, clear and alive. He looked back one last time and saw the Varine soldiers kneeling beside it, their hands touching the pure. The sky over Arvin was tinted orange as the sun set behind the western ridge. Inside the human base, tension filled the air. Officers walked through the hall speaking in low voices. News had already spread that a technician named Milo had crossed into alien territory without orders. Some called him reckless, others called him brave. Milo sat alone inside a small holding room, his wrists resting on the metal table. The walls were bare, and the only light came from a single panel above his head. His uniform was still stained with dust and crystal residue from the valley. His eyes were tired but calm. He had been questioned for hours about what he had done. Still, he showed no regret. The door opened and Captain Hale, the same officer who found him at the spring, stepped in. Hale's face looked worn, his eyes unreadable. He placed a small tablet on the table and sat across from Milo. "You know how much trouble you're in," Hale said quietly. "Crossing the treaty line using restricted tech and interacting with Vereen forces. You broke at least 6 regulations." Milo nodded slowly. "I know, sir. But I also know a child would be dead if I hadn't gone." Hale studied him for a moment. "The Council believes your actions may have caused political risk. The Vereen leadership requested a meeting. They said you are to attend as their guest. They want to show evidence of the contamination you claim." Milo frowned. "A meeting? They want me there?" "Yes," Hale said. "They insisted. It seems you made an impression on them. The Central Command believes it could ease the tension between us if we cooperate. I do not like this plan, but orders are orders. You will go with an escort tomorrow." Milo leaned back, thinking of the alien family. "If they are giving me a chance to fix what our mining caused, I will go." Hale looked at him carefully. "You have a strange way of seeing things, Milo. Most people would fear walking into the hands of aliens, yet you look almost calm." "I am not afraid of people who only want to save their child," Milo said. Hale stood, collected his tablet, and walked out. The door closed behind him with a soft hiss. Milo remained silent for a while, his thoughts drifting to the memory of Nira, the small alien girl he had saved. He could still remember how weak her breathing was, how her parents looked at him with desperation. He had never seen that kind of trust before from any alien toward a human. The next morning, the transport ship lifted off from the base, heading toward Vereen territory. The crew was small, only 3 humans including Milo and 2 guards. The air inside was cold and filled with the sound of engines. Milo sat near the window, watching the green forest roll by below them. As they crossed into the alien border, the communication screen lit up. A Vereen patrol appeared on the display, requesting permission to guide them. Hale's voice came through the speakers, giving approval from the base. The ship changed direction, following a glowing beacon through the mist-covered mountains. When they landed, the ramp opened to reveal a world unlike anything Milo had seen before. Crystal towers rose from the ground like trees, reflecting the sunlight in 1,000 shades of blue and gold. Strange birds with transparent wings flew above. The air was thick with a sweet scent that reminded him of rain. Waiting for them were 3 Vereen guards and a tall figure dressed in silver robes. The figure stepped forward and spoke in clear human language. "I am Varen Sol, Elder of the Vereen Council. You must be the human who saved our child." Milo bowed slightly. "My name is Milo, Elder. I only did what anyone should do." The Elder smiled faintly. "Few among your kind would risk crossing into forbidden lands for those not of their blood. You have earned our attention." The guards motioned for him to follow. They walked through a shining corridor made of living crystal. The light inside shifted gently as if the walls themselves breathed. Milo felt like he was walking inside a dream. The sound of water flowed somewhere deep within the structure. At last, they reached a large chamber filled with glowing energy streams. The Vereen Council members sat in a semicircle around a raised platform. In the center stood Raal and Tira, the alien parents he had met that night. When they saw him, Tira stepped forward, her eyes bright with emotion. "Milo," she said softly, "our daughter lives. Her light grows stronger every day. You gave us hope." Milo smiled warmly. "I am glad to hear that, Tira." The Elder raised a hand, signaling for silence. "We have reviewed the samples your machine cleaned. The poison came from deep in the soil beneath the old mining field. Our healers could not identify it until your tools analyzed it. It seems to be a compound made by human machines." Milo nodded slowly. "I suspected as much. If we can stop the leaks and filter the groundwater, the rest will heal over time." The Elder looked at him with deep eyes. "Would you be willing to help us repair the spring completely?" "I will," Milo said. "But I need access to human equipment and more energy cells." "That can be arranged," the Elder said. "But you must understand the place where the source lies is not only dangerous but sacred to us. It is the Heart Cavern, where the first Varine life crystals were born. No human has ever entered it. Milo met the elder's gaze. Then maybe it is time someone does. If your people allow it, I will enter and fix the source. The elder studied him for a moment, then gave a slow nod. Very well. You will be guided there. Raal will accompany you. But know this, human. The energy inside that cavern reacts strongly to emotion. If your heart is unsteady, the crystal will reject you. I understand, Milo said quietly. I will do what I must. Later that night, Milo stayed in a small chamber inside the Varine city. The walls glowed softly, and he could see the stars through a clear crystal roof. He could not sleep. His mind was filled with thoughts of what awaited him. The idea of entering a sacred alien place made him uneasy, but he felt that this was his responsibility. He took out the small crystal shard Raal had given him before. It still pulsed with a faint blue light like a heartbeat. He held it in his hand, wondering what it symbolized for them. To him, it was more than a mark of trust. It was a promise he intended to keep. The next morning, Raal met him near the entrance of the valley. The alien father wore light armor, and his expression was serious but calm. The path to the Heart Cavern is long, he said. The air grows heavy there, and the energy can affect the mind. Stay close to me. I will, Milo replied. They traveled on foot through winding tunnels that sparkled with blue veins of crystal. The deeper they went, the stronger the hum of energy became. The walls seemed alive, vibrating faintly with sound. Milo felt the ground pulse beneath his boots. Unit 9 floated beside him, recording readings and mapping the way. After hours of walking, the tunnel opened into a vast chamber. At its center lay a lake of glowing water, surrounded by floating shards of light. The sight took Milo's breath away. The air felt thick with power, and the hum in the walls became a steady rhythm like the beating of a giant heart. Raal pointed toward the far side of the lake. The poison comes from there, under the old machine buried long ago. The miners of your kind once drilled here without knowing this was sacred ground. Milo nodded and approached carefully. He could see parts of metal sticking out of the crystal floor, covered in glowing residue. He knelt and examined it. The old drilling machine was still active, its energy core leaking into the water. He pulled out his tools and began working. The energy fields flickered as he connected his cables and activated the stabilizer. The hum grew louder, echoing in the chamber. Sweat ran down his face as he adjusted the energy balance. The radiation levels rose and Unit 9 beeped warnings. Milo, Raal said, his voice echoing across the chamber. The energy is becoming unstable. I know, Milo shouted back. If I stop now, it will collapse. I need to finish this. He linked his control pad directly to the machine. The shock of energy surged through him, making his muscles tense. His body felt heavy, but he kept his focus. The old machine began to power down, and the glow of the poison started to fade. The ground shook again, and a beam of light shot up from the center of the lake. The crystals around them sang with a deep tone. Raal shielded his eyes, calling out Milo's name. The human stood at the edge of the platform, the light surrounding him like a storm. For a moment, everything went silent. Then the glow softened. The water turned clear again, and the air cooled. Milo collapsed to his knees, breathing hard. Raal rushed forward and caught him before he fell into the water. It is done, Milo said weakly. The leak is sealed. Raal looked around in awe. The lake now shone with pure light, free of the sickly haze. The Heart Cavern was alive again. You have done what our healers could not, Raal said. The heart accepts you. Milo smiled faintly. Then maybe it knows that humans are not all destroyers. They rested there for a moment, surrounded by the gentle hum of living crystal. For the first time in many years, there was peace between their kinds in this sacred place. When they finally began their journey back, the glow of the cavern followed them like a blessing. Milo felt tired but alive. He had faced danger, crossed lines, and touched something beyond science. And though he did not yet know it, his act inside that cavern would soon change the history of both races forever. Milo's legs ached as he trudged back from the Heart Cavern with Raal, guiding him through the twisting tunnels of the Varine land. His hands were raw from handling the glowing crystals and energy cables, but his mind was restless. He could not stop thinking about Nira, the small alien girl who had given him a reason to risk everything. The thought of her safe face kept him moving forward, though every step felt heavier than the last. The closer they came to the surface, the stronger the energy pulses became. The Heart Cavern was not just a place of beauty. It was alive. Its energy reached into the tunnels, brushing against them like invisible hands. Milo had felt it before when he sealed the poison leak, but now it was stronger, almost demanding his attention. Each pulse seemed to synchronize with his own heartbeat, and he felt a strange warmth flow through his body. Rel noticed the change immediately. Milo, the heart senses your presence. Be careful. Its energy can affect your body if you do not maintain focus. Milo nodded, breathing steadily. He knew he had to keep control. He had seen what too much energy could do, and he could not afford to fail here. His mind cleared as he imagined Nira's small hand in his, the trust in her parents' eyes and the promise he had made. That focus anchored him, like a steady beacon in a storm. They emerged finally into the open air near the edge of the valley. The evening sun bathed the forest in a golden glow. Milo could see the small spring in the distance, still sparkling faintly from the purification they had started. Unit 9 hovered near him, scanning the area and mapping potential hazards. Almost there, Ral said. But the final steps will be difficult. The main filtration system must be installed directly at the source of the contamination. Milo swallowed and nodded. I understand. Let's do it. The path toward the spring was narrow and treacherous. The ground was uneven, covered with crystal shards and alien plants that reacted to movement with faint glows. Milo moved carefully, placing each step deliberately. The closer they got, the stronger the residual poison energy felt. It was subtle but noticeable, a heavy weight pressing against his chest, almost trying to slow him down. When they reached the spring, the scene was both beautiful and frightening. The water shimmered with a faint bluish hue, reflecting the dying sunlight. Yet patches of contamination still remained, clinging stubbornly to the edges of the pool. Milo knelt and examined the water, his fingers brushing the surface. Even though it was improved, the toxin's presence was still enough to harm Nira if left unchecked. He set down his tools and began assembling the filtration system. The unit was larger than anything he had used before. Its core needed to be in direct contact with the water to neutralize the toxins fully. That meant Milo had to connect himself partially to the energy lines to stabilize the flow. He had done similar work in machines before, but never with living energy. This was different. The water here pulsed as if alive, and any error could send feedback through him. I may have to link directly, Milo said quietly to Rael. It will be risky, but it is the only way to ensure full purification. Rael's eyes widened. The energy could overwhelm you. Humans are not built to withstand the heart's force directly. You may not survive. Milo looked down at the spring, his resolve firm. Then I will take the risk. Nira's life depends on it. If I hesitate, she may not have tomorrow. Rael placed a hand on his shoulder. Then I will guide the link. You will not face it alone. Milo nodded, connecting the cables to the energy cores he had brought. The machine hummed, and the water began to glow brighter, responding to the purification process. As he placed the stabilizer near the center of the spring, a surge of energy shot through the lines. Milo gritted his teeth as the pulse traveled into his body. His muscles tensed involuntarily and sweat rolled down his face. Unit 9 hovered closer, monitoring his vitals. Warning: energy feedback exceeds human tolerance levels. Caution recommended. I know, Milo said through clenched teeth. Just keep the reading steady. Rael began to chant softly in the Varine language, his voice steady and strong. The energy in the spring responded to the words, flowing around Milo in waves. The combination of human technology and Varine energy created a delicate balance. Milo felt his strength draining, but he refused to stop. He could see the water clearing gradually, the toxin dissolving into harmless particles. Hours passed. Milo's vision blurred at times and his arms shook from the strain. Rael supported him, guiding the energy through his body, preventing it from overwhelming him. The glow of the spring grew steadily stronger, brighter than Milo had ever seen. It was as if the water itself was breathing, alive and purified by his effort. Almost there, Milo whispered. Just a little more. A sudden ripple ran across the spring. The energy surged, strong enough to throw Milo to his knees. His body screamed from the strain, but he forced himself to focus, drawing on every ounce of determination. He thought of Nira, safe and smiling, and of her parents waiting for him. That thought carried him through the pain, steadying his mind and heart. The surge passed. The water calmed. Milo, exhausted beyond measure, slumped against Rael, breathing heavily. The glow of the spring was steady now, a pure light that reflected the evening sky. The poison was gone. The energy in the water seemed to hum softly in gratitude, flowing gently as if the heart itself approved. Ral helped Milo to sit down. You have done it. The spring is purified. Your heart has carried the energy of the heart itself, human. You have faced what many would not dare. Milo wiped his brow and smiled faintly, though his body was trembling. Then the girl will live, he whispered. Yes, Ral said, his voice filled with reverence. She will live, and so will the trust between our people. What you have done today is more than saving a life. You have shown that humans can be capable of courage and compassion beyond what many expect. Milo leaned back, allowing the energy to flow away from him. The pain in his body slowly eased, but he remained aware of how close he had been to the limit. For a human, this kind of connection with alien energy was extraordinary. He had risked himself fully, and yet he had no regret. After resting briefly, Milo and Ral returned to the Varine city. The journey back was slower, careful, and silent. Milo's mind replayed every moment in the spring. He had faced danger and exhaustion unlike anything in his life. But he had done it willingly, driven by a simple human truth. The life of a child was worth more than any rule or risk. When they arrived, Tira and Nira were waiting. The child ran toward them, her small legs moving quickly. Milo knelt, arms open. Nira threw herself into his embrace. Her warmth and laughter filled the air, and Milo felt a deep sense of peace for the first time in days. Thank you, Tira said, tears in her eyes. You saved her life. You risked everything for our family. Milo shook his head. I only did what anyone should do. A life is a life. Ral stepped forward, placing a hand on Milo's shoulder. If you were of our kind, you would be a hero. But even as a human, you have earned our respect. You have shown strength, courage, and a heart that does not know fear when it comes to protecting the innocent. Unit 9 floated quietly nearby, scanning the room. Its small voice broke the moment. All vital signs normal. Nira fully recovered. Human input successful. Milo smiled faintly at the machine. Then the work is done. The Varine Council arrived soon after, observing the purified spring and the human who had endured the energy. They bowed their heads to Milo in recognition. We promised you anything, Varensol said. You risked your life for our child and our sacred spring. Name what you desire, human. Milo looked around at the glowing water, the peaceful city, and the small alien girl smiling up at him. He thought of the promise he had made in the darkness of the forest and of the trust the Varine had given him. His answer was simple but true. Just make sure your people see that humans can care, and that life is worth more than anything else, he said quietly. Varensol nodded, understanding the depth of his words. So it shall be. Your courage will be remembered for generations. Milo felt the weight of exhaustion finally settle in. He had given everything he could. For the first time in days, he allowed himself to rest. Surrounded by the light and warmth of the Varine city, knowing he had kept his promise. And though his body ached and his hands shook, Milo felt alive in a way he had never felt before. He had faced the unknown, risked himself for another, and proved that one human could make a difference. The morning sun broke over the Varine city, casting golden light on the crystal towers that shimmered like living jewels. Milo awoke in a small chamber provided by the Varine Council. His body ached from the efforts of the past days, yet he felt a quiet satisfaction. Nira was safe. The spring was purified. The heart cavern, alive and restored, seemed to hum with approval even from a distance. Milo dressed slowly, feeling the weight of his clothes against his tired body. Unit 9 floated beside him, beeping softly. All systems report stable. Human health recovering. I know, Milo replied, rubbing his hands over his face. Just a few more hours of rest and I can face the day. Outside, the streets of the Varine city were already alive with movement. Aliens of every shape and size walked through corridors of light, their transparent bodies shimmering with faint energy. Milo watched as children ran through the crystal plazas, laughing and chasing after small glowing creatures that hovered near the ground. Nira was among them, her small hands reaching out to the creatures, her energy vibrant and healthy. Ral approached Milo with a gentle smile. You have done more than we could have imagined. Nira is strong, and the spring will continue to heal the valley. Your name will be remembered among our people forever. Milo shook his head. I did what I had to do. Anyone would have done the same. Ral placed a hand on his shoulder, his touch warm and steady. Perhaps, But few humans have the courage to step into the unknown for another being. You have shown qualities we have rarely seen: strength, compassion, and determination. You are a bridge between our peoples. Milo felt a strange warmth at the words. For years, humans and Vareen had viewed each other with suspicion. He had only wanted to save a child, yet in doing so, he had built trust between two civilizations. The thought filled him with quiet pride. Later, he was brought to the council chamber. The Vareen elders sat around a glowing table, their faces serious but respectful. Tira and Raoul stood beside him, holding Nira's small hand. The child smiled up at Milo, her eyes bright. "Human," Varensol began, his voice steady. "You have fulfilled your promise and exceeded all expectations. You risked yourself, entered sacred lands, and restored life where it was threatened. In recognition, the council grants you a title rarely given to any outsider." Milo looked at him, curious. "A title?" Varensol nodded. "You are now Guardian of the Spring. It is a position of honor and responsibility. You may return to human lands if you choose, but the guardianship marks you as a protector of life and a symbol of peace." Milo felt a lump in his throat. Titles and honors had never mattered to him. Yet this was different. This was recognition not for power or control, but for compassion and courage. He nodded solemnly. "I accept. If it helps the people of Arvin and the Vareen, I will honor it." The elders spoke among themselves in low tones, and finally Varensol spoke again. "We also ask for your continued presence. You will be given access to our knowledge and technology to prevent future disasters. We will share what we can, so no child, human or Vareen, need face what Nira faced." Milo smiled faintly. "Then I will stay if needed. But first I want to make sure she is truly safe." Tira led him outside where the spring gleamed under the sun. Milo knelt beside it and dipped his hand into the water. It was warm and alive, humming softly beneath his touch. The purification had worked. The toxin was gone. Life thrived here once again. He looked at Nira running near the edge of the water, her laughter ringing clear and pure. She had grown stronger in just a few days. Her energy radiated, a sign that she would live and flourish. Milo's heart lifted. Suddenly, a group of Vareen children approached him, curious about the human who had restored the spring. They watched silently as he moved his hands over the water, explaining in simple words how the machine had worked and how life could be protected. Milo realized in that moment that his work was not just about fixing machines or purifying water. It was about teaching trust, courage, and respect for life. Whether human or alien, every being deserved care. Hours later, Raoul called him over. "There is someone who wishes to speak with you," he said. Milo followed to a small terrace overlooking the city. There, waiting, was Captain Hale. Milo felt a mix of surprise and concern. The human officer's presence meant questions, perhaps judgment. Hale approached slowly, his expression unreadable. "Milo," Hale said, his voice softer than usual. "I came to see for myself. Reports only tell part of the story, and I wanted to understand what drove you." Milo nodded. "I did what I had to do. A child's life was at stake." Hale looked at the spring, the child playing, and the vibrant energy of the city. He turned back to Milo. "I see now. It was not recklessness or defiance. It was courage, and it worked. You have done something humans rarely achieve. You have earned trust where few believed it possible." Milo felt a quiet satisfaction. "Thank you. That is all I wanted. Nothing else matters." Hale studied him for a moment, then extended his hand. "Then I offer my respect. And on behalf of the Human Council, our recognition. You have made us better than we thought." Milo shook his hand firmly. "Then we all have something to learn." The day passed with celebrations in small, quiet ways. Nira laughed and played, showing Milo how her strength had returned. Tira and Raoul walked beside him, sharing stories and expressing gratitude. Even the council elders smiled gently, acknowledging that one human had changed not just a life, but the relationship between two civilizations. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Milo sat by the spring, watching the light dance on the water. He reflected on the past days, the fear, the risk, the exhaustion, and the courage it took to step into the unknown. All of it had led to this moment, and he felt a quiet pride. Unit 9 hovered beside him. Assessment. Human actions resulted in maximum positive outcome. Child survival confirmed. Energy balance stabilized. Reputation improved across species. Milo laughed softly. I suppose even a machine can recognize what matters. The glow of the spring reflected in his eyes, reminding him that life, no matter the species, was fragile and precious. He thought of the promise he had made, of the trust the Vereen had given him, and of the bond he now shared with them. In saving one life, he had created hope for many. Rahl approached, placing a hand on Milo's shoulder. Tomorrow, the council will hold a ceremony to mark your deeds. But tonight, rest. You have earned it, human. Milo nodded, finally allowing himself to relax. He looked around at the city, the crystal towers glowing softly under the night sky. The stars above Arvin seemed brighter, as if the universe itself was acknowledging the courage of one human who dared to care. Nira ran to him, her small hands clutching his. Milo, she said simply. Thank you. He lifted her into his arms, holding her close. You are strong, little one. You are going to grow and shine. Tira and Rahl watched with tears in their eyes. Their daughter was alive, their spring was purified, and their trust in humanity had been restored. And Milo, exhausted but fulfilled, knew that his life had changed forever. He had proven that one human could make a difference, that courage and compassion could cross species and borders. As the night fell over the city, Milo sat by the spring, Nira resting on his lap. He watched the light shimmer over the water and whispered quietly to himself, I promised. I kept my promise. And in that moment, the world seemed larger, brighter, and full of possibility. One life saved had rippled outward, creating hope, trust, and the beginning of a future where humans and Vereen could stand together. For Milo, it was not glory or reward that mattered. It was the knowledge that he had acted when it was needed, that he had chosen life over fear, and that he had shown that humanity could be more than expected. The spring glowed gently under the stars. Nira slept peacefully beside him, and the promise of a new future stretched across the land of Arvin. Milo closed his eyes. Content, knowing that sometimes one person could change everything.